Hi, bestie. Welcome back to my podcast. I am so sorry I was gone last week. I missed you terribly, and I did not mean to be away. I had the full intent of getting home and recording. I was in Tahoe last week visiting my family, and I meant to record an episode when I got home, but if I'm being completely honest, I am an anxious flyer, and I'm not an anxious flyer in the way that I'm worried about the plane crashing. I really could care less if the plane crashed. I just developed literally in law school this insane, intense bout of claustrophobia. And so whenever I go on a plane, I feel so claustrophobic. And my family that I was visiting was in Tahoe, Truckee, which is in Lake Tahoe area. And the flight from LA to Reno, Nevada, because that's the closest airport to fly into, it's usually such a small plane, and so they don't have normal planes, size planes flying there, but they do have one plane that's normal size. I found out from my grandma, Southwest, which I'd never flown before, and I found out the day of that you don't get to select your seat, and I'm so claustrophobic if I don't have a window seat, so I was freaking the hell out. It was all fine, but anyway, the whole point I'm getting to is I'm still very claustrophobic, and it still was not the most roomy plane I've ever been on. And so on Thursday, I had 2 glasses of wine at the airport and a glass of wine on the plane because I was just so claustrophobic. I was I need to get through this flight. And then when I got home, I was kind of hungover and I took a nap. And then it was Friday, and then I was okay. So that's my long spiel of why I'm so sorry I missed you last week. But I'm back, and I'm here, and I love you, and I have many updates. First of all, today I thought it would be fun to just do another Q&A. Let me know if you like these. I asked on my Instagram and on TikTok Live. I've been going on TikTok Live a lot again, which I'm so thrilled about because I stopped going on TikTok Live for so long because it was just making me cringe. And then, because I was thinking, what if people, specifically guys I talked to, I was what if they saw me going on live? And then I was why would I let a guy stop me from going on TikTok live? That is insane. So now I'm really fully back and going live. I'm really getting over all this weird embarrassment and clearing it out. But anyway, many updates. And today I'm going to do an Instagram Q&A I did. A little question thing on my story. Before we start the Q&A, I have 2 updates before we start the Q&A. Update number 1 is Celia and I are moving. I told you in the last episode, we looked at a house and it was so haunted, and I'm so glad we didn't go with that house. And I just sent the deposit for the house. We're renting, not buying. But I sent the deposit in and signed the contract. It's official. We move March 1st, and I am so excited to leave this area. I will tell you where I live once I officially leave, the whole building and everything. I'm just going to wait until I move, obviously. I trust you, but there's always creepy as hell people lurking. So I'm just going to wait until I officially move. But we are moving. I'm not going to say the exact area, but we're moving from where we are now to the beach. And I'm so excited because I am such a beach girl, and Celia is such a beach girl, and we were trying to stay in this area, and then we both were it's so much more expensive here, first of all, and then we were why the hell would we not just move to the beach? We're in LA, why would we not? And then we started to lose hope because it was really just getting hard to find a place. Basically, I told you in the last episode, love Celia to death. She's been my best friend since 4th grade. She's my sister, but one thing we know about ourselves is that we cannot share a space together because I am so type A obnoxious clean, and I understand that I'm aggressively clean, and she is a lot more laid back and a little messier. So the way our living lifestyles don't match up. So we were looking for a house with a guest house, and it was kind of hard to find. But anyway, and then we toured that haunted house and started to lose hope. But we were this is the last time probably in our lives, hopefully, as I said, assuming we get married in the next few years, which I really hope I do. I mean, marriage is not everything, but come on. But anyway, we were like, this is the last time, like, as best friends, we could really live together, probably. So when I was in Truckee, like on the way back from skiing one day, I like just decided to look up a different location, and I was kind of just like looking at houses in general, not even like for guest houses necessarily. And then this house with a perfect guest house came up, because like the guest house and the haunted house too for Celia wasn't like that cute. It would have worked, but like it was not cute. But this had like the cutest guest house, and it is the cutest house, and it's like so close to the beach and the best area where like we both love. And so we went and toured it, and it feels like so warm. I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like this is really going to like secure and like really start the new happy era of me. And I just feel like where I am now, there's kind of like a toxic energy, if you know what I mean. And like this place just feels so healing and so happy in the house. So if you live in LA and you're looking for furniture, message me, because I have to get rid of my nightstands because my bedroom's tiny. Cleo and Luna, like their litter box enclosure from Tuft and Paw, my bar stools, and I feel like there's something else I'm like forgetting. Oh, and this bench I have. So if you're looking for any furniture, message me for sure. But yeah, this house, I posted on TikTok and on Instagram. It just is so warm. It's so sunny. This apartment now, and like many complaints, especially the fact that it's so overpriced. Like I'm paying less to live in a house with a guest house now, which is crazy. But this apartment, like my bedroom is so sunny, but then like the kitchen and living room faces a wall, so it doesn't get sunlight. And like one of the main things I wanted when I moved to LA was like super sunny, like house vibes. And then for some reason I moved into an apartment facing a wall. So this whole house is so sunny and cute and precious. It has stained glass windows. We have a huge yard, and then we have a huge like porch. And then Celia's guest house is so cute. It doesn't have a kitchen, but she's going to make like a coffee station in there and like have like a microwave and stuff. And then she's just going to be very clean in the kitchen when she comes in to use it. Because this place was just I've never felt such good vibes. It just feels like it gave me the same feeling I feel when like I'm at home, like in the house I grew up in. So it has such a positive energy, and I'm really excited to move. So we moved March 1st. Problem is, so I didn't realize in LA, and this is like so bad that I like did not, I guess I just didn't read my contract carefully, or I forgot about it. I don't know. But in New York, when your lease is up, but in LA, your lease, it's like a 12-month lease, but then unless you give 30 days notice, it goes month to month. So I've been trying to contact my property manager several times, and he just keeps ignoring me. So I'm gonna have to call him after this and be like, hello, can you please answer, because I'm giving you notice. Anyway, hopefully that all goes smoothly. But it's crazy because I have so much to do now, kind of, because I'm moving in 2 weeks, which is nuts, but I'm so excited. And the girls are going to love it. Like, it's just, oh my gosh, it's a dream. So anyway, that's update number 1. Update number 2, which some of you asked on my Q&A, like a lot of you wanted to hear this story. I found out yesterday morning that I had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars stolen from my bank account. I don't know how the hell it happened, but my dad has always told me, like growing up, like never use your debit card. Like if your credit card is compromised, there's so many more protections and it's so much easier to get that money back. But with a debit card, it's literally linked to your bank account. And the only reason I'm being so chill about this is it could have been so much worse. Like they could have literally like drained my bank account if they wanted to. Thank God they didn't. But whoever, I don't know how it happened, but I never really use my debit card, but sometimes I just won't have my other credit cards on me, and I'll be like, well, I've been very reliant on Apple Pay. Sometimes I'll only have my debit card, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll just use my debit card. The fraud is unlikely, but it happened to me. So this is a cautionary tale to you. If you use your debit card, be careful. But anyway, yeah, so I used my debit card somewhere and it was compromised and someone transferred themselves a ton of money. And so I had to call the bank and then obviously make a police report, and I had to call Cash App, and now I have to get all these like reports and send them in. And basically what they're going to do is like they credited me back all of the money, and now the bank is going to do an investigation into the claim and they'll decide if I get to keep that money or not. I think I have a pretty good case, because basically whoever did this did it with Cash App, and like I haven't used Cash App in years. So like obviously, and I got a statement from Cash App being like, this was not from her Cash App. And also the bank, like my debit card is so touchy, like in the sense that like I will use it anywhere and it will decline because it like will freeze automatically. So I'm so surprised that like the one time it doesn't freeze is when someone with a different name puts into their Cash App. But anyway, yeah, so hopefully that all gets sorted. And honestly, like I'm sure like they didn't use their real name, but whoever did this is like kind of not very smart, because there is like an account number to the Cash App, like it's going to be traceable to something. So anyway, that's a whole thing, and yeah, glad I caught it when I did, and it could have been a lot worse. Not great, but could have been a lot worse, but this was humiliating. So there's certain reports that you can file online and certain reports that you have to like, I thought you could call the police because it said if you can't file online, call this number. And so I called LAPD yesterday and like started telling them the situation, and then they were like, oh, like hold on, we just need your address, we're going to send police to your apartment. And I was like, oh my god, because I live like in the apartment complex I live now, it's like all the apartments surround a courtyard. It's a very small building, like everyone knows each other, not a lot of units, like the police showing up makes a big scene basically. And so I'm like already cringing because now the police are going to show up, and I'm like, that is just kind of embarrassing. And anyway, I didn't think I would be like on LAPD's like top priority. I thought I would have time to quickly run to the grocery store because I was making muffins. I was out of vanilla extract. Anyway, so I run to the store, and then I get home and I see like a cop car in front of my apartment building. And I'm like, oh no, they beat me here. And then they called me and they were like, hey, we're outside your residence right now. So luckily I got there, like they weren't waiting forever. I got there like basically at the same time. But then as I'm walking up, my neighbor below me like gives me like a smirk as if like, what the hell did you do? And because there's two like sheriffs in all their sheriff gear standing at my door. So then like we talk, I show them all the information, like they take a report, whatever. And then this was just humiliating. Then they like, I needed to get a piece of paper with them regarding my police report from their car. So they had me walk out of my apartment complex with them. So it literally looks like I got arrested because two sheriffs show up at my door and then I leave my apartment complex with them. And my neighbors from like other buildings were like, as they were walking their dogs, like stopping and like watching as if like a real scene was going on. I mean, it was terrible. So anyway, that was humiliating. And I feel like it literally looked like I was getting arrested. I know typically you would be in cuffs, but I feel like sometimes you can get arrested not wearing cuffs if you are not going to resist at all and cooperating. Maybe that's not true. I feel like I've seen that. I don't know. But anyway, I felt like everyone thought I was getting arrested. So that was a really fun time, and hopefully all gets resolved. I saw the bank has credited the money back into my account, so now it's just whether I get to keep it or not. So anyway, those are my two big updates. Now let's start the Q&A. Oh my gosh, first question I'm seeing right now. Love this one because you know this has been such an issue for me this year. The first question is, how do you deal with feeling like a loser and not letting it get to you? I don't know. I mean, I constantly feel like a loser, and I think the only thing that stopped that was getting on anxiety medication, because I think it was like a very big OCD thing. But like on a real note, like advice that I should take and I would give someone else is like, I always, when I walk around, I am like, oh my God, everyone thinks I'm so weird. And like I'll post on TikTok or I'll go on live and like I'll get so embarrassed and I'll be like, people in my real life are seeing this. Everyone thinks I'm so weird. Or I'll get a video that doesn't have a lot of views and I'll be like, wow, everyone's so embarrassed for me. And the truth of the matter is everyone is so self-absorbed and so worried about their own self. Like we are inherently as like humans so selfish and self-centered that like no one else is thinking about you in the way you are. Like all these times, like I'll be so embarrassed about things and feeling humiliated. Like maybe like in some circumstances when I've done like really embarrassing things, people were like, that was weird for a second, but no one is like spending their days thinking about it or like spending their time being like, oh my God, she's such a loser. Like the reality is people just care so much more about themselves than anyone else. And I think that's kind of helped me is like, it's really only how you perceive yourself. And I also do believe, and I've like been reading a lot about this lately, but like the way you perceive yourself, I really do believe like comes off. I feel like people can tell and feel, and like even like my content performs better when I'm being positive and like confident. Whereas when I like am acting like a loser and I'm like, no one cares, then like it like doesn't push out as much. I really do believe it's like you kind of have to fake it till you make it, and just like, I promise you're not a loser. And just like start telling yourself like, I'm not a loser, like I am so cool. Like this is so dumb, but when I'm feeling like a loser, I'll literally like play like hype up music that makes me feel like I'm not a loser, and then like imagine scenarios of like how like fake scenarios of where I would feel really cool and like really embody that feeling. It sounds really stupid, but that like literally helps me so much. So yeah, I promise you're not a loser, and I know the feeling, but no one else thinks you're a loser. And if anyone does think you're a loser, like that's the other thing I've come to. I'm like, oh my God, like if people do in my personal life, like think I'm weird for going on live or think I'm weird for what I'm posting on TikTok, then like I don't care. Like anyone who is meant to be in my life and who I love and is close to me would not think anything I'm doing is weird. And even if they did, they'd be like, oh my God, like what, that was a little weird, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So like anyone who thinks you or I are a loser just does not matter. They're not relevant in our lives. Okay, next question. What do you do / focus on to create a happy life for yourself? You seem like you're really thriving right now. Thank you for noticing, bestie. And you know what? I feel like I finally am thriving. And let me tell you the things that I have been doing differently that I think have really helped. Number one, and I will get like far more into this like later on in life, but I just feel like it's too soon now. But there were several people in my life that I felt like I needed them to be in my life, and they were so toxic and bringing me down, and I felt so drained when I hung out with them, and I felt so like anxious around like the whole situation. And I just kind of like decided to stand up for myself, and I started cutting people out of my life. And now my circle is even smaller again. Like I felt like I was like starting to have like a circle of friends, and then I had to cut a few people out because they were just draining me so much and making me feel so just like in many different ways. I actually recently, like one of the friends I cut out, I cut them out after they called me telling me what a weirdo I am. Anyway, yeah, this person that I recently ended a friendship with knew like the one thing I was so insecure about was like feeling like a loser. Speaking of like feeling like a loser. And then they messaged me and they were like, maybe the reason you feel like such a loser is because you are a loser. And they would say things like this to me all the time just to like make me feel bad, which is just like crazy. I put up with that for so long. And there were just basically long story short, there were a lot of really toxic people in my life, and I cut out a lot of people in my life recently, and that has really, really helped me a lot. I'm a full believer that who you surround yourself with is like how your life is going to be. Like, for example, when I was doing a ton of drugs, I would never blame anyone else on like my own decisions, obviously, but it's a lot easier to like be doing a lot of drugs if you are hanging out with people who are doing a lot of drugs. You know what I mean? So like the same thing, like being around toxic people who may be a bit negative and bring you down, like you're going to feel negative and brought down. So that's been one thing that's really helped me. Another thing that's really helped me is I now, like, I'm in a much healthier lifestyle. I feel like during the holidays and then like a little bit after, I was like drinking a lot more than I wanted to. Not in like I know like someone's gonna hear this and like go on Reddit and be like, she's an alcoholic, because people love to say that. Not in an alcoholic way, just in like, I feel like I was like partying a little bit too much, and not partying in a drug way. I feel like I'm gonna stop defending myself. Whatever. People can think what they want. Anyway, I feel like I was drinking a little bit too much, and it was like, as someone with anxiety, like alcohol just does not help with that. Even like literally having one glass of wine with dinner just like can make me feel so bad. So I have a new thing where like I'm not like restricting myself. Like if I want to have a glass of wine with dinner, I'm going to have a glass of wine with dinner. But my like main thing now is I have like one night of the week where I drink, like on the weekend, rather than like having like a glass of wine with dinner, or like randomly getting like drunk on like a Monday night. Like I just don't do that anymore because it throws off your whole week. It makes you not feel well. So that's been really like, cutting out alcohol consumption has really helped me a lot. And Celia and I, like, going off that, one thing we've been doing now every Saturday, we wake up at 5 a.m. or like 5:30, and we drive to the beach and we do like a cold plunge for the sunrise, and then we go and get a bagel. And looking forward to that, like, not to be like all high and mighty, like, oh my God, I'm not hungover on a Saturday, but it does just feel so good to wake up on a Saturday. Like, I'll go to bed at like 8:39 on Friday, wake up and just feel so refreshed and so, I don't know, it's just like a really wholesome start to the morning. Like, we'll see dolphins and like watch the sunrise, and then we'll go to Noah's and get a bagel. Like, it just feels so good. So that's been like, that tradition has been really great. And I've also just been exercising again, and eating healthy, which has really helped me, because yeah, I mean, like, especially as an anxious person, like, going outside and getting movement helps so much. And I've just been like having a good sleep schedule again. I have been going to bed. I go to bed at like 8:30. I've been reading a lot again, trying to not be on my phone as much, and waking up early. It just like, I don't know, it feels really good. I've been in a routine again. I feel like I'm finally getting back in a routine and feeling good. And I think probably the last thing that's been contributing to me thriving is the fact that I am on anxiety medication, as I tell you every week. But seriously, I was so worried to go on it for so long. Trigger warning, I think like the main reason I didn't want to go on it was I was like scared I was going to gain weight from it. And now I'm like, oh my God, like whatever, if I gain a few pounds and I feel this much better, like that's so worth it to me. So I think like all those things have really helped and contributed to how I'm feeling now. But I'm like feeling so good for the first time in a really long time. So yeah, thank you for noticing, bestie. Oh my gosh, this is so relevant to life right now. How to balance what's meant for me will find me versus putting yourself out there and going for it. I don't know, okay? Because if you're talking about like, well, my mind immediately went to dating, but I guess this also can apply to like jobs and everything and like friendships. But I'm just going to apply this to dating because that's kind of how I'm taking it right now. Well, you know, I'll go into everything, but dating wise, like I am in such the mindset that like my person's out there and I'm just going to meet them and I don't have to try to meet them. So I don't go on dates and I don't put myself out there. I have been on Hinge and I've been trying. I'll like set up dates with people and then I'll like back out last minute. But I'm trying to make myself like put myself out there a little bit, because like on one hand, like obviously if I sit at home all day, I'm not going to meet someone. On the other hand, I'm like lazy and don't want to go on dates. So it's like such a hard thing to balance. So I've been trying to use like dating apps and like go on dates with people. But at the same time, I really do believe like you don't have to try to meet someone. I feel like it will just come to you. Whether it is like I feel like whenever I hear about people getting boyfriends or girlfriends off dating apps, it's always like when they're just like messing around. Like I've heard so many stories like they were about to delete the app and then they just went on this like last date. Like I feel like in general, you just can't put pressure on anything or take anything too serious. And this like really can apply to everything. Like I truly believe that what is meant for you will come to you. And even like just like going not on dating, but like in life, like even like right now, this career that I'm in, like sometimes I feel like stressed, like I'm flopped and it's over. And then sometimes I feel good, and I've like really been struggling with that the past year. But now I'm just like, it's either going to work out or it's not going to work out. Me worrying about it and putting all this extra energy into it is like not going to do anything. And if this doesn't work out, then I'll do something else. And then that means like that's what's meant to happen in my life. Like I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in like there's like a higher something. And like I totally believe in like the universe looking out for you. And I really do think that like we all have our own paths and like everything is like going to work out. So that's just what I tell myself. Like everything's going to work out. It's going to be fine. And worrying about things, like I'm such a worrier, but worrying does nothing, like literally does nothing. So that's like my new thing is I just like try not to worry. It's a lot easier said than done. But I think like everything will come and you just have to like really trust that it's going to be okay. And then it will be okay. And if it's not, then you can worry about it when it comes to that, but there's no reason to worry about that until it happens. Someone asked, are you Callie sober? Do you still smoke weed? Also, how do you completely cut drugs out of life? I wish that I was Callie sober. I wish so badly that I could smoke weed, like more than anything. I'd love to just go home, like smoke a joint, chill. But for me, when I smoke weed, I have such a bad panic attack. I'm sobbing, like my intrusive thoughts. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to accidentally strangle someone because I have like crazy harm OCD. I'm like, I have to sit on my hands. I'm going to lose control. And like, I feel like I'm like out of my body and I can't control anything. I'm never going to feel the same way. And then like, I've literally gone to the ER for being too high before. So I cannot smoke weed at this point in my life. I would love to be able to, and maybe one day that will change. But as of right now, I unfortunately cannot smoke weed like at all. Like I love the idea of being able to smoke weed. It's just not something I can do. And in high school, like I used to smoke weed all the time. But like now come to think of it, like I don't think I ever really enjoyed weed. I just tried to convince myself I did. The first time I ever got high, I had a panic attack and was convinced the weed was laced, and it definitely was, and I was just having a panic attack. And it's so funny, I like think back to it. Me and my friend were smoking weed. We like went outside and neither of us had ever smoked before, and we made one of those, like we looked up how to smoke weed like without having anything. And so we made me and my friends used to always do, like, this is so bad for you probably, but we would take like a soda can and then like dent it in a little bit, put a hole, and like light the weed on top of the soda can, which I'm sure is so bad for you. But the first time we ever tried to smoke weed by ourselves, we carved like an apple out, which is so intense, but let me know if you've ever done that before. But yeah, we carved an apple out and then like put the weed on top of the apple, whatever. But we didn't know we had to light it for a long time. We thought you just quickly like put the lighter on it and then like you were good to go. And so we were like, it's not working. And then we finally realized you had to like hold the flame to it for a little bit longer. And then I had a complete panic attack and like thought I was dying. I almost woke my parents up, but then my friend, she was so scared that like her parents would find out and she'd get in trouble. She was like, you are not waking your parents up. And so I like just like sat in my room having a panic attack until finally it went away. And like then I told everyone like, oh my gosh, like my weed was laced. And like my weed was definitely not laced. I just had a panic attack. So yeah, weed does not work with me. On the terms of cutting out like other drugs in your life, I was lucky in the sense that I never really, I mean, my behavior was addictive, but I never had like physical addictive addiction symptoms when I was like doing drugs, which by the way, if you missed that episode, I talk about this in the episode, like talking about high school. In high school, I just did a ton of drugs and my freshman year of college, and I haven't done any since, never will again. And I think like honestly for me, like the reason I stopped doing everything is like I had like a complete mental breakdown that led to me having to go to the hospital and finish my classes at home for the semester. So that was my freshman year of college. I think that is what pushed me. I was like, what the hell is going on? I've never felt so miserable in my life. And I was just like so unhappy and just really like I got to such a low point that I was just like, I need to cut this out, and it was not worth it. And I know that's like way easier said than done, but I think I literally removed myself from everyone I was doing drugs with, because like probably if I would have stayed at that school, I would have like, it was so normal to like go out, drink, like do a line, whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Like like this is when I was like 18, but it was just like a very normal thing, and now like that's something I would never do. Um but like when you're surrounded by that and everyone's doing it around you, it just feels normal. So I think like cutting people out that are also like doing stuff that you like, going off of what I was saying earlier, seriously, like cutting people out that are like living a lifestyle that you don't align with or don't want to live around, like makes such a difference. And I think cutting everyone out of my life, like it was hard. I literally cut like everyone out that I had become friends with that year, but that really helped me. And yeah, and like that, just like seriously, if you're going through it right now, please go listen to that episode about high school if you haven't. I think it's called Growing Up with Ease. But I like was such a mess from like 15 to 19 or 18. No, 14 to 19, I guess. 14 to 18, doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I think it was 14 to 18. But anyway, I was such a mess, and I had like no aspirations. I was like headed, the only place I was really headed was like a rehab, like nothing. Like I felt like I had no purpose. I was so low. I didn't think I'd ever amount to anything. And I have very much made it out on the other end. I ended up like turning everything around, transferring schools. My GPA went from a 2.0 to a 3. I graduated with a 3.9, went to law school, not to like flex on myself, but like I did not see that for myself. And I wish I could tell myself back then, like, it's going to be okay. So if you're listening to this and you're going through something similar, like I promise, like it will be okay and things can turn around. And I think hitting like a really low point in your life can be such a beautiful thing, because you can only like go so low, you know? And like I think sometimes we have to hit those really low points to force ourselves out of it and like have a wake-up call and like blossom into who we want to be. Not to be cheesy, but like for real. This person asked, best piece of advice you've been given and by who? Love you too, bestie. I have, these are like the two that come to mind, and they're both from my mother. So hello, mother. If you're listening to this, my mother listens to all my podcasts. Also, I call my parents mother and father. It sounds so formal. It started as a joke. In 3rd grade, I started like calling them mother and father as a joke, and then like it stuck. So to me, it sounds so normal, but like to everyone else, it probably sounds like I'm like so weird and formal. But anyway, the 2 best pieces of advice I have gotten, I think number 1 is, seriously, and I said this earlier, walking solves everything. Like it forces, any single time that I was ever like going through something growing up and like was really upset, my mom would always force me to go on a walk, and I never wanted to go. And I like was always like, I was so mad and I would get so annoyed and not want to go, and she'd like just make me go, and she'd be like, I promise you'll feel better after. And every single time, like whatever I was going through, whether it was like a terrible breakup or like friend issues or like anything, like going for a walk always, like it clears your mind and just helps so much, like getting outside. And like it's such a simple thing, but it really has like gotten me through so many hard things in my life. It's just going for a walk. And my mom used to always force me to go on walks growing up, and that just really, I think that is like one of the best pieces of advice. And then the other piece of advice, and this is like relating to whether it's like school or work or anything, like burnout in general. I remember in law school, I would get like, especially my first year, I'd get so burnt out and so stressed out, and I'd be sitting like trying to finish my reading for the night, and then I would like just like not be able to focus, and I would just start to like panic. I'd like just like stress the hell out, sit there, and like I would be getting nothing done. I would not be being productive at all, until the point where I would like completely like have a breakdown and start sobbing, and then go to bed just feeling stressed, like in front of my book trying to read and get nothing done. So I remember my mom told me, she was like, when you get to that point, you just need to let yourself like take a break. And like understand like it's okay to take a break. It's okay to get a little bit behind, and like you're going to be taking a break anyway, because if you're that stressed, like you're not going to be productive. So it's better to just take like an intentional break and like let yourself have that break and then go back to whether that break is like a half an hour, or like sometimes I'd take a break for like a day. But really like let yourself, when you get to that point, it's better to just take a break. And I think like that once I like kind of got that way in law school, that really helped me get through school. I mean, like even like there'd be times before final exams, like the night before, I'd be like, I cannot study anymore, and I would just go to bed. I remember I did that for like 2 finals, and I was like, I'm gonna fail them. I'm like not studying the night before, and I did fine on them. I think I got like A's or B's. The lowest grade I got was a B. So that like really got me through law school, is just like giving yourself breaks when you need them, even if you feel like you can't. Someone asked, girl, I know this is so broad, but how do you effectively study? P.S. Illy. Love you, bestie. So I never knew how to study till I got to law school, like seriously at all. Also, if you see this lump to the side, if you're watching on YouTube, Luna like situated herself under the covers. But I never knew how to study till I got to law school, and I still like don't fully know how to study. I mean, I guess I do, because my technique was just, I think what really helped me was the Pomodoro method, and which is you have a timer, and you can do like different time segments, but the most popular one is 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So you'll set a timer for 25 minutes, and they have like, you can search Pomodoro timer online and it will come up with like a timer. You do 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. And that like helps so much, because you're like, okay, for these next 25 minutes, I'm putting my phone away and I'm just going to like go and do this. And then I have 5 minutes like to take a break. And that really helped me. When I was sitting for the bar exam, I had to get a lockbox for my phone that would literally lock my phone. I'd set a timer and lock it. And that helped me, because I feel like my phone distracts me so much. And also, I would play brown noise. If you go on YouTube and you look up brown noise, it's supposed to be really good for focusing and like keeping you calm. And that like got me through law school. Brown noise and lo-fi like helped me so much. And I think you also have to just learn what works for you, like, and not compare how you're studying to other people. Because me and all my friends studied so differently, and sometimes I'd panic and be like, I'm not studying like them. But things really work differently for everyone. So for me, I'm very much a person that if I write something down, I'll remember it. Like that's how my brain, I need to like write it. And so whenever I would study, I would like make flashcards, and I might not even use the flashcards, but just writing it down one time like helps so much. I think writing down is like the most effective way, at least for me, to study. So if you're in law school by chance, for outlining, and if you don't know, outlining is basically like you get to make an outline for most final exams, and it's like a skeleton of like everything you learned. That was the way I studied. Like everyone recommended you start your outline in like October and then like fill it out as you go on. My way of studying for final exams in law school, and I did this to the end, was I would make my outline like during reading period, and that was how I studied, because I'd like go over all the information. And that's the only way I knew how to study for final exams in law school, was just like making my outline. So it just goes to show like you have to just figure out what works for you. Advice for feeling confused and lost post-grad. If you've been with me for a while, you've probably seen because I never took time off from undergrad to law school. I went straight through, and then all of a sudden I was no longer a student, and I wasn't pursuing the career I thought I was going to pursue. So I felt so lost and so confused. And I think this is something that like no one really talks about, but when you finish school, it's such a scary feeling. Like your 20s, like it's not like, yes, it's a big accomplishment, but like I feel like it's just assumed like, okay, you're done with school, now go get your job, and like, woohoo, like everything's great. But I think it's like the scariest feeling ever, because you're just like all of a sudden from like in school to like real life. And like it's very, I mean, I've talked to so many people about this, and everyone feels the same. Like leaving school and leaving that structure of what you're used to is like such a scary feeling, and like everyone feels lost. So don't down on yourself if you feel lost and confused. I mean, I literally went to law school and now I'm not pursuing being a lawyer at the moment, and I might later, but like not right now. And like it's okay to feel lost. It's okay to change your mind. And at the end of the day, like we're still all, I don't know. I feel like you don't need to have your life figured out. And like I love whenever I'm feeling bad about myself, I'll like go and read like all those articles of like people. I think I talked about this before, but there's so many like very successful people who did not figure out what they wanted to do till they were like 40. Like we have so much time and there's no rush and we all have our own timelines, and like I really believe everything's going to work out and it's going to be fine. So just try to take things day by day. That's what I'm doing now, because I don't know what I'm doing. I feel so lost. I don't know what the next week holds or the next year holds or like whatever, but like today everything's okay, and like tomorrow I'll deal with tomorrow. But you just have to kind of take it like day by day, or like hour by hour even, or like seriously like month by month, whatever helps you feel better. But it's going to be okay, I promise. And feeling lost is such a normal feeling at this point in our lives. I feel like this episode's getting pretty long, so I'm going to answer one more question, and then if you want me to continue this Q&A next week, let me know. I love doing Q&As. I think they're so fun. But let me know if you like them and if you want me to continue this, or let me know what you want next week to be about. But how to not be jealous of people that are doing better than you. This is something I have struggled with so much, especially on social media, because like being fully transparent, like it's so easy. Like I will compare myself to like specific people online who have like a similar following to me. And then there's been like many times where I've been like mutuals with someone even who like we have similar followings, and then like they skyrocket, and like I can't help but feel jealous because I'm like, oh my gosh, like now they're so much above me and like they're doing so much better and like they're having their moment. But like you just like everyone is on their own timeline, seriously. And like I hate hearing that myself, but like we're all doing our own thing. And like what really helped me with like feeling jealous is I don't know if you ever listened to The Wizard Liz, but I love her. And she, in one of her like videos, was talking about like envy and like feeling jealous of people. And she was like, you need to really like look at like, why are you feeling jealous of people? And she just said like the most, like this like really changed all for me. She was like, the only reason we feel jealous of people or we feel envious of people is because we think that we can't have what they have. So you need to just like change that thinking. And instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous they have this, I can't have it, you have to kind of like switch your thinking and think like, that's inspiring. Like, let me see like, how did they get there and how did they have this? So like now I've been trying to like, when I notice myself feeling jealous, I'll like, because like there are some times where I'll be like, oh, I just can't stand that person. I'm like, wait, no, it's just I'm jealous of them. So like now when I feel that way, I like take a step back and be like, okay, first of all, they've done nothing to me. Like I am just jealous of them, and jealousy is a very normal feeling. And then I'll like evaluate and I'll be like, why do I feel jealous of them? Like what do they have that like I feel like I can't have? And then I'll like think like, how can I get there? And like I can have this too, because I really do think like we can have and do whatever we want. I'm feeling very positive today, if you can tell, but that's how I deal with jealousy. But it's so normal. And I mean, I've spiraled before so many times of being jealous of like people and their lives. It's a very normal thing. And especially like in like this day and age with social media, like how can you not compare yourself to people? Like all day, all we do is like go on our phones and see people's lives we can compare our lives to. But also like a lot of things on social media are like not real. That's why I try to like, some people are like I know I've gotten like Reddit threads being like, oh my gosh, like all she does is cry online and complain. But I try to like hopefully provide a safe space for people, because like I feel like so much of social media is so curated and people are just showing like the perfect parts of their life and not the bad parts. So I try to be good about showing like everything, but even I am like bad about that sometimes. Like seriously, like social media, there's like been like Instagrams I posted where I look so happy and I'm like after the photo like not even having a fun day and like was like crying, and then like just tried to get a photo like nothing is real. So like you never know what's going on in someone else's life, and there's no point in even comparing because you're on your own path. I think this episode got a little bit lengthy, but let me know what you want for next week's episode and message me on Instagram. And I'm trying to get my Instagram following up. So if you are a bestie and you don't follow me on Instagram, please give me a follow on Instagram because I'm trying. My team really wants me to get my following up on Instagram, so I'm working on that. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. I hope you have a good weekend or week or day or morning or night or whenever you're listening to this. Love you so much, and I'm always here for you. Seriously.